Good morning and welcome to your Rangers Review morning briefing on Wednesday, the 6th of August. I'm Chris Jack and I'm joined by Stevie Clifford this morning as we have a look back at Rangers 3, Viktoria Plzen 0. And something tells me this will be a slightly more upbeat video than the one that myself and Stevie recorded with you all on Monday morning. As always, the show is brought to you in association with Willows Fencing. All the links, all the relevant details are in the description below. Go and check them out. Stevie, we had quite a in-depth discussion over the last couple of days about where Rangers were heading. After that last night, 2 goals from Jedi Gasama, Cyril Desser's penalty. Where they're heading is into the playoff round of the Champions League.
I certainly hope so. What a morning though, Chris. The sun is shining, the birds are twittering. Life is good again. Night and day, I think, performance-wise last night. But yeah, I mean, they put themselves in a very commanding position. It's never over until it's over, so you need that professionalism going into next week. But I thought we were terrific. I thought we looked a lot more comfortable than we did on Saturday. That's for sure. The shape was better. Things that we had called upon or questioned were changed, and you know what? Well done to Russell Martin, because he had the Euro-watts to go and make those big changes, and they were 4 very good changes, very big changes. So for him to go and do that and exercise it in a game like last night, and fair play to the ones that came in, a lot of real plus points last night, Chris. But with regards to the tie, do you know what? I didn't think that Plzen were that big a shakes up front or anything. I didn't think they had that quality anywhere. I actually thought they got a bit better when the subs came on, but I also thought that we dipped quite a bit at that point after 3. So, you know, there's a lot to untake out of that. But Rangers are in a really commanding position, a professional job next week, and that should be done and dusted for everyone. I think we can score out there. So, you know, that's the added incentive as well. But 3-0, I would have bitten your hand off before the game at 3-0. But the performance levels were a joy throughout. So, as I said, a lot of plus points, really night and day between that and what we watched on Saturday.
As Jim said, I think I made this point to you at half time when we met in the press room. The manager must have been tuning in and watching your thoughts at the start of the week. But he did make some big calls there, as you mentioned. But I think we'll start on one of the guys who was an obvious pick in Jedi Gasama. 3 European games, 4 European goals. You can't really ask much more from that. He's, in terms of an instant impact, there's nobody jumping out at me to think who was the last player that came in and made that kind of impact in a new team on that stage. As I mentioned to Josh last night on a live show after the game, it's the different kinds of goals that he's scoring. It's not just all they're back post finishes. He's got a header last night. Panathinaikos one was a great long range finish. The move with Dessers last night, great run, lovely finish. Also, they showed real pace and intent to get that one out in Athens as well. He's made quite an impact, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think the only complaint I have about Jerry Gasama is that he's not too good at the knee slides. He needs a wee bit of work on those celebrations, and I'm sure he'll get many if he plays the way he has been. Look, I think he's terrific. Do you know what? Him on the left and Antman on the right was a joy. I think the last time we had threat like that on both sides of natural width was a long, long time ago. And even if you look back into Steven Gerrard's years of being successful and things like that, we always had somebody playing out on the right-hand side, whether it was a Hadji or Rebo, even at times Kamar Roof, who weren't natural to be that width and pace and things like that. But to have it on both sides last night it was a joy to watch. But look, Jerry Gasama has made an instant impact. And I think he's been terrific. He does a lot of work off the ball, really works hard on that left-hand side. And to be fair, I thought Antman did as well last night. Both of them really put a shift in, which is what you want. It shows terrific kind of ball skill at times on the left-hand side down that line. And he really done well. I thought that he looked a lot brighter. And there was 2 things that helped him last night. One, having Jeffy behind him, because Jeffy was good and naturally comfortable in that position. And Lyall Cameron, I thought, was magnificent on that side and really complemented what they were trying to do. So it created the overload quite a bit. And yeah, his finishes, his first goal was wonderful. Big Cyril, who took 10, 15 to get into it and then sparked into life wonderfully. I thought he was great. And that pass, just everything about that move was perfect. And even Gasama's intelligence for the penalty move to pull out wide like he did. And then it's just it seems like a simple ball, but it's the kind of simple ball that our players haven't been able to deliver. We just roll it perfectly in front of Antman so that he can just take it in his stride, use his acceleration, which he done. So Gasama was involved in all the big moments last night. And in regards to an early impact, he's certainly an exciting one. And he's one, we've cried out for a long time about having, excitement and favourites in this team for the younger ones, and wanting heroes, wanting to discover those teams, those players within teams again. And I think Gasama is one that will really excite everyone. I also think Antman, if we're going to come on to discuss that in regard to debuts, is right up there as well. But Gasama, yeah, I mean, he's an instant one where you look at and think this boy's got something. He's got something about him, the way he moves, his pace, his ability to finish, his positional sense. And there was still a lot to do in that header last night, but he done it spectacularly well. The move for the first goal, great. Involvement in the second. So, yeah, you're thoroughly impressed with the young boy with regards to his instant impact he's made so far. And I just hope it continues because he's been great.
If you're a Sheffield Wednesday fan, you're checking social media every couple of days right now, and you're just shaking your head and wondering how did they get themselves in a situation where they lost a player like that for the fee that Rangers were able to pick him up for. I know there's a lot of talk about earlier on in the window Rangers shopping in the Championship, and is there value for money? I think he shows that if you scout properly and you put your money into the right players, then there is value to be found in that league. And I think one of the exciting things about Gasama, we still don't know where the ceiling is. He's only in the building 6 weeks or so since he actually joined. Time on the training ground is actually quite scarce at present because they're bouncing from game to game to game. So Russell Martin and his staff probably haven't had much of a chance to actually get into him in terms of coaching and what they want to do. But that ceiling, I say, we just don't know. We don't know where that is. I thought at Fir Park at the weekend he was a bit quieter, didn't really have that impact. But again, to have that impact last night, he must be waking up this morning just on top of the world. And if you get a wide player that's in the groove and that has that confidence, again, he can hopefully take that into the weekend, heading over to Plzen next week. He's one of the first names on the team sheet right now, isn't he?
Oh, yeah, absolutely is. But here's the thing. See, with the weekend, Rangers were very easy to play against on Saturday. Very easy because there was very little threat coming from places. Now, they did change yesterday, and there was a lot of things happening which we can discuss as it goes on. But every time that Jedi Gasama got the ball on Saturday, Chris, he was doubled up on. When Rangers have a team like last night that's free-flowing, where you have a 9 that's involved, you have a right winger who's ultimately is dangerous. What was happening on Saturday when they doubled up and then they were looking to shuffle back across to the right-hand side quickly? One, they weren't doing it quick enough, and two, there's no threat on the right-hand side. Now, I'm not going to go down the criticism route of Kieran Dowell and James Tavernier, but there was no threat on that right-hand side. There's no natural pace or athleticism that there was last night. So the teams couldn't double up on Gasama last night. One, because Lyall Cameron was over there as well, making it extremely difficult, and he was causing the overload, which meant that the through balls and things that you've seen for Gasama were necessary. But what I'm pointing out and what I'm trying to get to is, see when teams double up now on Gasama, they're not going to be able to do that as effectively when Rangers can move it quickly to the other side where Antman is. You can't keep doubling up because that'll cause position and space for everyone else. So that's an exciting prospect for me. And yes, it will take time. The context to that, will be that they need to get used to playing together and everything. I understand that. That's perfectly valid. But, having that natural threat in these positions is going to be an excellent thing to watch. And I just thought last night, that Viktoria couldn't handle us because that natural overload and threat was there at every time, and they weren't able to double up, and they weren't able to do what Motherwell did so easily on Saturday. So, yeah, the real challenge for Rangers now, let's be honest, a European performance like that isn't a surprise because we managed to do it now for several years. The real test is Saturday against Dundee, where it's a game where Rangers fans will expect to win, but it's also a game where Rangers have not performed in recent years. And these are the ones, like Saturday, where it has to become routine bread and butter performances where, you can excite the fans, you can go and do the job and go and get it done convincingly. So the real test, it becomes the next one, and we go from there.
On the opposite side to Gasama is the latest recruit, Oliver Antman. Safe to see he made a positive impression on the Ibrox crowd last night as well. Alan there saying that he looks class. Kevin saying that he was still running at the end of the game, and speaking about his fitness. Stephen, not really impressed with Antman and Gasama, but touching on a man that will come on and speak about just in a wee minute. And Fraser there saying that Antman and Gasama on each side still have Moore and Asgard to come. That's an exciting prospect for Rangers once Asgard is finally fit and you can get him in that side. To have Moore as a wide option as well can only be a good thing. We spoke a lot over the last couple of weeks, certainly a lot in the aftermath of Fir Park about why this team and this squad will continue to improve as new players come into it, players that are more suited to what Russell Martin is looking for on the right hand side. The upgrade from Dowell to Antman was quite something last night. And again, in terms of a debut, you couldn't really have asked for much more. I thought he was unlucky with the one that he had in the first half. Defender makes a good block, but the assist, it looks fairly simple, but too often Rangers wingers haven't been able to do that simple thing. It's a lovely ball down that flank from Max Aarons. Antman times his run well, in the right place, head up, sees Gasama, picks him out, 3-0 Rangers, job done on the night. And he had a couple of nice touches, it looks good in tight spaces. He could be one of the better additions, one of the best additions to this squad, because he fills a role that Rangers have just been crying out for to be filled for quite some time.
£3 million, Chris, already looks like a bargain for Oliver Antman, that's for sure. I thought he had it all. I thought he had pace. He put in a work. He put in a shift. He worked really hard, which is what you want. He showed endeavour in his runs. So he was running behind. He was coming short. There was a mix-up in his game. But you immediately seen it. Look, football's really not that difficult in terms of what you should be trying to do. Right back plays a ball behind the fullback, and your forward winger gets running onto it. And to be fair to Max Aarons, he done it 3 or 4 times last night, putting a ball down the line, which was really good for Antman to go and chase. And even in the first half, when the one where he got to the byline, I think it was maybe about 10 minutes in, and he got to the byline, raw pace, but he stands it up to the back post, and we had one target in the box at that point, who was Jedi Gasama, and he still managed to get to the back post to try and pick him out. So I thought he was great. Game intelligence was absolutely there for him, and I thoroughly enjoyed his performance. He is one that instantly, passes the famous eye test. 10 minutes in, what player have we got here? And I instantly like the look of him. He's going to be good. He's going to be a player. But touching on the third goal, and I'll go back to the second in a minute. Touching on the third goal, you're right, because the quality is there, and that's where you pay for that quality, which is, do you just whip it across and hope that something happens? Look at Bayrami on Sunday, or Saturday rather. Twice he got into those positions at 1-1 and he hits the man and drags it across the face of goal and stuff like that. We had one opportunity to see Antman really get that opportunity last night to pick out somebody, and he done it, Chris, expertly. He takes a look up, knows what's happening, knows when to runner, knows when to delay it, and just clips it in perfectly. So all Gasama needs to do really, because of the weight of the cross, is just steer it, and he does that. But it's the all-round assisting by Antman, which was so impressive. Now, for the second goal, he actually wins that at the edge of his own box, plays it to Gasama, then has the pace and the power, which is impressive, to go and win that and drill on and move on and create a 1v1 situation. So the boy behind him has to then foul. We win a penalty, which we score. And do you know what? he looked, as far as debuts go, from a right-hand sided winger, it was really everything you want. Pace, power, the ability to work back and help his defender, the ability to help the team with work rate and everything else. He had it all. The pace thing for me, Chris, is really exciting because we've been very dimensional to watch, like very rigid for a few years now, and we've needed that raw pace, and all of a sudden you've got it at points throughout your team. Mikey Moore's still to come into this. He's an exciting kind of maverick youngster who's going to add something as well, because what we do see is 60 or 70 minutes, these boys do get tired because they put in a shift and they do work hard. And Russell Martin's team, I understand that completely. I still want to get another one in. I think that's important to how he plays. So with regards to first time viewing of Oliver Antman, yeah, give me it. He looked sensational. And for £3 million, which is a difficult kind of transfer market to work in, how many £3 million players have we bought that turn out to be absolutely duff? On first viewing, Gasama and Antman for best part of £5 million. It looks wonderful business this early on.
Understandably, Russell Martin was in a far happier and far more chipper mood in his press conference last night, and he was asked obviously about if that was how he wanted it to look, and it being a bit more how he wanted it to look. And as he said, it was the most put together performance that they've had for sure, with the ball and without. The reaction to losing the ball was great. With the ball, we moved it much quicker, shorter distance, found the spare man a lot, and we had way more runs in behind than what we've had in the last few games. I think a man that was key to that, someone there's a lot of love for in the comments this morning. Mark, they're saying Cameron had a great game, was unlucky not to open his account. CJ, they are saying that Cameron was awesome, a real workhorse. RR4547, very impressed by young Cameron. He looks a talent. That performance, that was the one I was looking for. Stephen, they are saying that Cameron was his man of the match. A lot of talk about that number 8 role, who was going to fill it. Would it be Nico Raskin? Would it be Lyall Cameron? I think when Lyall Cameron sat down for the pre-match press conference on Monday, gave you a bit of a hint that he was probably going to be in the team. It's rare that the guy that does the presser is then nowhere to be seen the following afternoon. So he came in and he really caught the eye. He kept it simple. He got about his work, tactically disciplined, put in a real shift. As one of the comments said, they're unlucky not to get a goal. What did you make of Lyall Cameron for a European debut?
Surprising. Lyall Cameron's one of these ones that fly under the radar, and you almost put it to being a Niels Coppin and Philip Clement signing. So you wonder where he's going to fit in and what he's going to do. But he was great and his work rate, but it was the positioning. He was, and this is where I don't want to turn it into a negative, but he was doing everything that Nico Raskin was supposed to do on that side on Saturday, with regard to linking, with regard to overloading, making sure that if the wingers do lose the ball, they can't get out quickly. A power of work on that side. And do you know what? Here's the truth of it. Suddenly, before you were thinking it becomes Asgard, Rothwell, Diamandi or Raskin. It's now Asgard, Rothwell, Lyall Cameron. And that adds a whole lot of balance. Because remember, he's not an actually left-sided player. He's a right-sided player as well. So there's a lot for him to settle into and stuff. And I thought genuinely he was outstanding. And what I liked about it was when he was subbed off, the reaction he got from the support was terrific, which shows you that everybody was impressed with him and he's settled in and does well. With regards to that, a very intelligent young guy. We spoke to him, Chris, down south, as you know, in the training centre. He does have, I think he's got a master's degree and stuff. He's a very clever young lad, and he's very well educated and stuff. So he is somebody that has a bit of brains behind him. Do you know what? Rangers fans love players that work hard. Absolutely love it. We grew up in my generation of Stuart McCall's, Ian Ferguson's, Trevor Stevens, who were all workhorses. Like, all worked their socks off in the middle of the park. Lyall Cameron comes in and puts in that kind of effort, and he immediately will be taken to by the crowd. And you've seen it last night. I think there's a lot more to come from him, hopefully. And I look, I was going to tell you, I was on the way to the game with the boys, Kenny and David, and I wasn't overly sold on the prospect of him playing. I was a bit reserved on it, and just basically said that I wasn't sure on his performance levels at all and how he was going to do. But I thought he was terrific. Really understated, the kind of boy in the team that you need, but it doesn't always become, fashionable as such. He isn't the hero. Everybody's looking at others, but I thought he was really, really good. He was one of two changes that made things really happen. Him and Jeffy on that left were good, but there was one other, Chris, who made a massive difference, and it's worth talking about, and hopefully you're going to bring it up, but it's Cyriel Dessers and his performance overall. Even the shorter things that he did, he's not going to run behind. He doesn't want the ball to chase. He wants it fed into him. But Cyriel Dessers last year didn't get involved a lot. He had changed his style and things, and I don't think he was holding up the ball. Last night he did, and he became a different option for Rangers, because there was times at the back where we would mix it up and just go to him as the front man. He held it up brilliantly, showed good strength, linked people in. His link for the first goal was terrific, like on point. He comes short to that side of the box to get it, and then just feeds it in for Gasama. So Cyriel Dessers, all-round performance last night. And again, we didn't maybe create that much for him. The quality of chance we created actually was better. I think we had 6 chances last night. We took 3 of them, hit the bar, had the one off the line. So the quality of chances we're creating is better. But for Cyriel last night, I thought probably his all-round best performance in a long time from Cyriel Dessers, for the hold up, the link up, the unselfish kind of running for the team. That side of it is maybe not something I'm used to seeing Cyriel Dessers do, but as an all-round team game, I thought he was great. So hats off to the big guy, because he's had plenty of criticism, he's had plenty of doubts, but we instantly looked better with a 9 that was involved in the game and got himself involved in the game the way he did last night.
That link up will lead people to believe that we actually know what we're doing and we've actually got some form of plan on this, because that was absolutely seamless there. That was the next part of Russell Martin's presser that I wanted to highlight. He was asked about Cyriel last night and said that he was amazing, and he went on to say Cyriel's physicality helped and the team looked for him more because we played a big focus on it. We needed to play forward more tonight than we did on Saturday for sure. When the ball did come to him, the other guys ran off him, and out of possession as well, he worked really hard. I'm really pleased with the big man. He's a really good professional and a good person, and hopefully he can keep enjoying himself. I know Russell said the other day there that Dessers was the only player that Rangers have had an offer for. We spoke a lot about Athens and potentially moving on at the start of the window. There's a lot of talk about it that seemed, or that has proven to be really premature, and I think we reported that and we said that people shouldn't be writing off Cyriel Dessers as a Rangers striker just yet and throwing him out the door. But I think that performance last night, again, a lot of love for him in the comments this morning. Dessers looked like a different player, says Stephen. Head keeper reckons it was his best game for a while. Hard to disagree with that at all. Mark Lear saying CD9 was great, and David saying that he links so well, much better than last season. That number 9 role is going to be the big talking points of what Rangers do in terms of the rest of the transfer window. I think we both like to see another left centre half come in. Left back is still an issue. At number 9, you don't challenge for leagues. You don't win leagues without a good centre forward. If Rangers could morph the best of Dessers, Igaman and Danilo into one striker, they'd have quite a number 9 on their hands. Unfortunately, they can't. If everyone is fit, if everyone's playing, if everyone's good to go, who's your first choice right now?
Well, it's still Hamza Igaman, I would think, in my eyes, in terms of quality and in terms of what I think he can do for the team. In terms of performance and who's got the jersey right now, it's Cyriel Dessers. And there's no criticism of him by saying Hamza Igaman, because I think Hamza Igaman is the excitement. I think, if you can get him fit and get him back in the team, I think he adds another dimension to it. He's got that pace and the power up there that you want. But listen, Cyriel's attitude last night was terrific. Mm-hmm. Very selfless in terms of the running, the holding up the ball. And there wasn't a downfall in his performance at all. He's taken a lot of criticism because of the chances he missed. And likewise, I said at the time, he was also the only one there to take them. So not having that pressure might actually help him, because he's no longer having to be the one that puts the ball in the net or puts it wide. And I don't mean that as a criticism. I just mean he was the only one there to try to take those chances in either way that he done it. But last night, as I said, thoroughly impressed with him. He put in a shift and linked up really well for the goal. Seemed to get positivity from that. He seemed to really perk up from that assist. And he should do, because he was terrific. But as I said, probably all-round best selfless performance I've seen, or the most selfless performance I've seen from Cyril Dessers in a long time. And he deserves a lot of praise, because he gets a lot of criticism at times. So when it's right, it's only fair that he gets that positivity. And he does. Genuinely thought he looked and performed extremely well. So hats off to him. Really good all-round performance. And it's that different side of it, that, being prepared to run, being prepared to be that focal point for your team that offers more, because we have runners from midfield, it's quite clear. And when you have a static nine that isn't involved in it, then, that's a big issue. And I said to you, Chris, on Monday morning, I said, one of the biggest issues we've got is we can't get our nine involved in the game. The nine isn't getting any chances. He's not linking up. He's not doing anything, not getting touches. The big man made it happen last night. He really got involved. He really done running. He held up the big boy at the back and got his back in, held up the ball a couple of times really well. So, all credit to him. He retains that jersey going forward for the moment, and we see what happens. So, great performance. Really, really did deserve it. And there was no, as I said, the biggest issue is, and I don't think I should have been surprised by it, was his attitude last night, which was excellent. He could have been huffing and puffing, and I've not been starting, and I want to go where, and I want to be away from here. Whatever he might have been, or we might have been worried about, not a sign of it. So well done to him. And as I said, I've given him a lot of criticism. He's deserved it at times. But last night, hats off to him. He was really, really good.
Just in terms of transfer window and other business, it wouldn't be a Rangers Review show if we didn't mention a bit of transfer business. Obviously, still a lot on the go right now.
Hold on, are we moving on from last night? Because I've got one more point to make.
You can fire away with one more.
And I'm sure you'll agree, but Nasser Giga last night was terrific. Absolutely wonderful performance at centre half. Him and John Suter looked fairly solid at times. And I'll come to it. The only criticism would have been that the movement of the ball after they went 3-0. I thought that Butland, Suter slowed down quite a bit. So Giga was having to cover at times, which I would want them to quicken up. But I understand the context of being 3-0 up. But overall, he had a block at 1-0, which was a clear shot at the edge of the box, which he done terrifically well. Spread himself brilliantly, makes a block. But I thought, genuinely, that was a Rolls Royce of a performance last night as a central defender. I thought he looked absolutely terrific. He was my man of the match. And the exciting thing was there was 4 or 5 of them that we could have chose last night. But I thought that Nasser Giga at the back, or Big Giga, as I called him to Russell, was absolutely terrific. And that was a performance that reminded me of the old levels of Carlos Cuellar and Magic Boguera when they were on the really big performances. Likes the ball, likes a wee dart forward, confident on it, creates space with short passing, was there when his teammates needed him, very strong, handled the pressure of their forwards quite easily, defended really well. We didn't give up any chances last night. The one chance they had, I think, in the first half, a ball to the back post, we defended quite well. And a shot in the second half came from outside the box, which Jack Butland tipped over. So we defended really, really well, John Suter and Nasser Giga. But I just thought that Giga was a class apart at centre half. I thought he looked really, really terrific. And if that's the kind of level of performances we're going to get off him, then we can enjoy him for this year, Chris, because obviously Wolves spent £10 million on him. He's played Champions League. He's played for Red Star. He knows what it's all about. But he's a boy last night that I watched and thought, this boy is really, really good, really comfortable. So I just wanted to highlight that. I'm sorry if you were on a wee kind of transfer stuff, but I think it was worth saying just how good he was. I thought he was terrific.
If you're looking for some more Nasser Giga chat, myself and Josh spoke a bit about him on the show last night. And there's also an interview with John Suter that will be on the website at 12 o'clock where he speaks a bit about that partnership at the back. Also touches on his contract situation as well, so that's well worth checking out on the YouTube channel and on the website in a couple of hours. We'll finish a bit of transfer update of sorts. Best of British there saying that need a goalkeeper, a left back, a left centre back, and a striker. Not asking for much in terms of incomings. Not that much chat over the last couple of days after the Antman deal. In terms of outgoings, we reported on the site yesterday that Besiktas are still in the running for Ridvan Yilmaz, but I think there's reports in Turkey over the last couple of days to say that that's close and it's all agreed. As we understand it, that's not the case.
What a shock!
The famous reports in Turkey line. So Ridvan will be allowed to leave the club. He will leave the club, but it's not imminent. And again, we understand a bit of interest from other clubs in Europe. So Besiktas don't have that one all their own way, and a bit of interest would be good because the more clubs that are interested, hopefully the higher the fee is that Rangers can recoup for him. Just in terms of the outgoing, Stevie, we know these guys that can move on. We know the ones that will be allowed to move on. Does last night show the progress that this side can make? If Rangers can get likes of Ridvan out, if they can find a buyer for Davies, Dow, Matondo, open up a bit of space in the squad, bring in some more Russell Martin type players. I think the signings overall so far have all been good. They've all made a positive impression. Just need a couple more and Rangers might be onto something.
Yeah, I think that's clear. No disrespect to Ridvan Yilmaz, but the quicker he moves on, the better for everyone's sake. I read the comments about, the boy put up a minute ago about the 4 or 5 we still need. There's a wee bit of context for me of what we need more importantly first. I think last night showed you with an actual left back the overall difference it can make to that team. So in order of preference, left back is priority for me. If you can get a left back that performs like that. And Jeffy, in fairness to Jeffy, his attitude and willingness to learn and stuff was spot on last night, and I think that's fair. But as a youngster, somebody that played a hell of a lot of football last season, and wasn't really used to that in terms of his growth and kind of progress. He could do with somebody being there to compete with as well. There's no reason, by the way, why Jeffy can't come into the team for certain games and perform well and do well. That's absolutely fine, but it should be like that. It shouldn't be Jeffy having to play 50 games at left back because he's not ready and he's not capable, and that's why he has moments where he switches off. We need a left back, and it showed last night how vital it was to the team. Left centre back then comes into the equation. As much as John Souttar looks, really comfortable, we need some more competition in there. John Souttar, I think, is an excellent defender and has defended really well in siege games and done really well at moments this season so far. Don't think he looks overly comfortable on the ball at times because he's so relaxed, John. He's got a kind of style where he takes that extra second. But for us as a support, watching how Russell Martin wants to zip it about and wants to do it at the back, it can be heart and mouth moments. With regard to a goalkeeper and Jack Butland, again, passing-wise, he's the same. I think that's really clear. But, Jack Butland, the way he's performed so far, if it wasn't for Jack Butland, we wouldn't have beat Panathinaikos. If it wasn't for Jack Butland, we don't get a point against Motherwell. And that may at some point turn out to be a good point for Rangers, although it was a bad result. These are the kind of ones where you do play bad, but you take the 1 point and you move on for it, even though it wasn't acceptable in any way. That's down to Jack Butland. So you weigh up what you're really needing first. If you can get Cyril Dessers playing like last night, Hamza Gaman, Danilo there, you really don't need a 9 until one of them go. So the priority at the moment has got to be a left back and a left-sided defender for me. And that's the ones that could make a massive difference overall to the team. It's not the sexy wingers or strikers that you want and you want to be excited by. But see for how Russell Martin wants to play, Chris, then it's vital. But as for Ridvan, as I said to you weeks and weeks ago on this show, I'm sick of the Besiktas Turkey stuff. It's inevitably absolutely nonsense. And you get pasted for it by coming on, here comes the Reaper again, doing all this stuff and everything. And it's unfair because all you're doing is actually telling us the truth, which is this is once again a load of nonsense. So I appreciate it, mate. Although I don't enjoy the content of it, I appreciate being given the truth and the kind of true reporting of it because I'm sick of it. I mean, Besiktas, when they gave us Ridvan in the first place, before he'd even signed, he was getting linked to a return to them. And I'm just of the opinion that it'd be better for everyone if Ridvan Yilmaz does move on because he's never available. We need to put somebody else in that position. So, best of luck to him and move on. And you're right, if you can get rid of those 5, 6, 7 that we've spoke about before, your Rabbi Matondos, your Ben Davises, your Cifuentes, no disrespect, your Leon Kings and stuff, who for his own good needs to go and play football. If we can get rid of these guys and open up, and you look at the signings that have come in so far, and for the value of them, by the way, the value is very good. It's not like it looks on the space of it. Joe Rothwell come in, little output. Gasama's come in, little output. Antman's come in, little output. They've got Giga on loan. They've got Max Aarons on loan. All these guys look like they're going to be really comfortable and competent additions to the team for very little output. And I think that's been the impressive thing. There's no one that you've really seen so far that you've went, oh, he's going to be a bit too much. Fernandez is a work in progress. He'll take his time. You'll probably see him on Saturday. I would imagine he would get game time there, certainly game time against Alloa. So there's a lot to be pleased about. And the good thing about it is you reported on Antman on Saturday, and then by Monday it was done. By Monday he was training with the team. Tuesday he's playing the Champions League game. That's how we're doing it these days. So you'll maybe not get that weeks of build up to getting somebody the way that we've kind of been linked with before. On the majority this season, that's how it's been. So yeah, I'm hopeful. A few more out, and we can add 1 or 2 before the end of the window, which I think when you look at it overall, you're looking at 9 in so far. It's a pretty successful window for Rangers in terms of numbers. How they do in quality, we will see. We need to give them time. We don't want to go too early. I've been guilty of that before when it comes to praising players, the old famous, Lassana Koulibaly effect, where he comes in and looked like a world beater and then just died a death after 5 or 6 games. So we need to be patient and give them a period of time to settle in and things like that. But listen, get these boys out, and it'll look a lot brighter, that's for sure. But in terms of that, Chris, give me a left back, please, because overall for the team, while it might not be the sexy position that everybody wants, I think it's vital for what we want to do.
As always, we'll try and bring you the latest transfer news. As Stevie says, it may not always be the transfer news that you want, but it's the transfer news that you're getting. So you'll just have to like it. No, as always, keep across.
Hold on, look, for all the criticism you've been given, mate, and you do get it in the neck, you have very accurately reported this summer. Antman, you called, you broke that story Saturday afternoon. Update on Sunday again, and then Ridvan's been accurate. So yeah, you might be the butt of the jokes and stuff like that, which I love because it takes the pressure off me. But you've been accurate, so we appreciate it. I think that's worth saying.
On a happy note, where we're all being nice to each other, there's Tino has given a £5 contribution to the channel and says, "Love the daily content, boys. Up the Teds." On that note, that feels
it's amazing what happens when Rangers win, isn't it? Everyone's jolly.
It's nice to have a happy morning for once. Hopefully, there's plenty more to come. As I mentioned earlier on, that interview with John Suter will be on the website at 12 o'clock. If you can't wait for Rangers content until 12, there is an analysis piece from Josh going through the game last night, looking at the contributions of some of the guys that we've spoken about on the show for the last 40 minutes or so. So go and check that out. And of course, keep up to date with all the latest Rangers news on the YouTube channel and the website and our social media. Josh is back in the driving seat tomorrow after another well-earned day off. I say well-earned. And on that note, we shall bid you all farewell. See you all soon. Thank you.